So absolute value functions, this is not in your textbook. So the only material you'll have on this is what's online here, and then what I cover in class. So take good notes, please. Okay? All right. So absolute value functions. Just so you're aware, graphs of an absolute value functions always result in a V shape. Okay, so, and when we're talking about absolute value functions, we're talking about y equals, for instance, y equals the absolute value of x. That would be the very basic of it. Okay, notice you have two variables, y and x there. The x is in the absolute value symbols. Always results in a V shape, and it could be wide or narrow, and it can open up or down. And the point of the V we call the vertex. Okay, it can move around in the plane. Our goal is today is to really focus in on this piece right here where we're talking about the vertex moving around on the Cartesian plane, which is just your XY axis. Okay? So let's copy that stuff down and then we'll get into graphing some of these on our... All right. So representing absolute value functions. Standard form of an absolute value function is this guy right here, y equals a times the absolute value of x minus h, all plus k. The variables a, h, and k tell you certain things about the graph that we're going to explore the h and k today, and we'll talk about a tomorrow. Okay. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your graphing calculator, and I want you to graph y equals the absolute value of x. Okay? Y equals the absolute value of x, this guy right here. And then, after you get that one into y sub 1, we're then going to go to y sub 2, and we're going to graph y equals the absolute value of x plus 4. Now, usually brings up a few questions. First, some of you have forgotten how to put things into your calculator, possibly. Anyone want to remind me where we go? Yeah, y equals. Okay. This second piece is trying to figure out how to put in an absolute value symbol. Anyone know how to do that? Everyone at y equals? Good. Okay, I want you to find math. You may want to leave yourself a trail in your notes here, okay? Battery's dead? Battery's dead? Yeah. Unbelievable. That's ridiculous. Just set it on my desk, batteries are dead. Everyone find math, the button that says math right here. We're going to hit math. And then we need to go over to where it says NUM. So up here, so these are little tabs. We want to arrow over to NUM. And then that first option is abs. Now, depending upon what type of calculator you have, if you have one of the classroom ones, it'll actually show absolute value symbols. If you have your own and it's a newer version, it'll show absolute values. If you have a TI-83, it'll just say abs with a set of parentheses. You treat those parentheses like your absolute value symbols. Whatever you put inside the parentheses is in your absolute values. So what we want to do is we want to put x. Everyone show your neighbor where that X symbol is again. You know, we talked about it before break. Okay, Jake, where's it at? You don't know? Where's the X symbol? Yeah, yeah. Good, yeah, it's this guy here, xt theta n. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and push that. And if we hit graph now, you should see a V shape. Very cool. I want you to write down the coordinates of your vertex. Vertex equals what? Give me an ordered pair for it. What it looks like it's at. Okay, what's the vertex? Anyone? Vertex? Caden? 0, 0. All right, 0, 0. Order pair 0, 0. Okay, let's go ahead and get that other one in there. absolute value of x plus 4, and I want you to write the vertex for that one there. All right? All right. What do you got, Lily?
She doesn't have any graph lines.
Oh, that's not good. Jaden? 0, 4. 0, 4. Everyone agree? Okay. How come this one's 0, 0 and this one's 0, 4? What shifted y sub 2 from y sub 1? Yeah.
The 4 gives you a starting point.
Okay, the 4 gives you a starting point. All right. Graph is moved 4 units up. Everyone agree? Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and try that. There's our original. Okay. Oh, by the way, this is our, well, we'll take and go through the k value here, but let's look at our original, y equals absolute value of x, where we know the vertex is equal to 0, 0. Okay, and now we have this one. I want you to write the equation for that graph. I'll zoom in on it so it's a little easier to see. All right. So Jennifer, what's the vertex of this graph? What's that? Okay, but what's this point right here? The vertex. -5. Okay, maybe the other way, right? 0. Okay, 0, -5. Everyone agree? Okay, so where's that -5 end up in our equation?
On the end.
At the end? Remember back to here? When our graph shifted 4 units up, the 4 ended up at the end. It ended up outside those absolute value symbols. Well, if I'm going to shift my graph down, just based at least on the patterns we've seen, we might assume that it ends up like that. How many of you have something like that? Okay, very good. So what happens, I mean, we've moved the graph up 4 units right here. We've moved the graph down 5 units here. How are we going to move the graph to the left and right? Okay.
We have to put instead of just x like a number before.
So like inside here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to mess with the stuff inside here. So let's actually try that, okay? This, by the way, is called your k shift. So when we're talking about standard form, okay, where we had this, y equals a times x minus h plus k, if you have this equation written down, you may want just to make a note, this thing shifts our graph up and down. Okay, shifts the graph up or down. All right. What type of value shifted up?
Positive.
Yeah, positive values. What type of value shifted down? Negative. That seems really obvious, but it's going to be a bit different when we deal with the h shift over here. You'll notice right now it says minus h. That's why this kind of looks a bit different when we deal with h. But all right. So let's go back. Let's go ahead and try a different graph. So if you're in your y equals menu, I want you to go ahead and take y equals the absolute value of x, y sub 1, and then on y sub 2 this time, I want you to graph this guy right here. So this one's going to be y sub 1, which you already have in. You can delete what's in y sub 2. You just select it and hit delete. So for those of you that aren't familiar with how to just go down to that line and hit clear. Okay, and it clears it. Whoops. Okay. And now when you're doing your absolute value, if you're putting in the absolute value of x minus 3, when you put those absolute value symbols in, for those of you who are using a calculator that doesn't show the symbols, make sure that everything is inside the parentheses. You want to close that parenthesis then. Okay. All right. Go ahead and graph that. Tell your neighbor what happens. Identify the vertex. Hey, my fault. I'm sorry. This should be -3. That's what you should have on your calculator. Just to mess you up.
Oh, crap.
And so this vertex, you have 0, 0. What do you have for this vertex? 1? 0, 0, 1? 0, 3? Does your graph look like that? No? Oh. I'll have to look at yours. How many have a graph that looks like this? Okay, so our second graph is coming down here. Where's it hitting?
3.
Yeah, 3. Okay, so x is 3, y is 0. Okay, so our graph is shifted how many units? 3 units to the right. Now, we've shifted to +3 on the x-axis. However, this says -3 right here. It's kind of different, right? Really, when you're looking at this shift, what we call the H shift, you're kind of identifying this piece in here, x -3, and you're saying, what would make that thing inside the absolute value equal 0? So what makes this in here equal 0? Well, if x -3 equals 0, what does x have to be? That's for you guys. What does x have to be? 3, yeah. That's what makes this, okay, that's where our graph is shifting to. It's shifting to 3. All right. So our H shift's going to shift it left or right. Okay? I want you to identify what the equation of that graph would be. Okay, y equals the absolute value of x.
+4.
Yeah? +4. Everyone agree it's +4?
Yes.
Yeah. Why is it +4 and not -4? Really?
Because -4 moved it the other way.
-4, yeah, when we had minus, it moved it this way. So plus is going to move it this way. Remember, whatever makes this 0. So x + 4 equals 0 when x is -4, which means we move it that way. Okay? So your H shift kind of goes opposite of what this is. So if this is positive, we go to the left. If it's negative, we go to the right. Okay? So when we're clarifying our H shift here, we go back to this equation again. This shifts our graph left or right. Okay, remember, if it's positive, it shifts it to the left. It's kind of opposite of what we think. If it's negative, it shifts it to the right. Okay? Now, the only piece we haven't touched on is A, and we'll touch on that tomorrow. Okay? A does something else, but any questions there? Okay, everyone rate yourselves 1 to 5. Got it? Okay. All right. So what I want you to do now is I want you to go ahead and take your paper. Did you have a question? No. Okay. I want you to take this paper right here, and all I'm worried about is that on this sheet, this is a quick just to make sure we have it. I want you to identify, we're going to only work on the front side of this right now. All right? The back, I don't want you to get rid of the back because we're going to save it for tomorrow. But the front side, okay, we're going to use the back tomorrow. The front side, I want you to identify the vertex on those 6 problems there.
Where are we going to graph it?
Yep, yeah, go ahead and identify the vertex and then put a dot where it is and just sketch a picture of what it looks like. Don't worry about how wide or narrow the lines are or anything. Just identify the vertex and sketch the picture real quick. Okay, so once again, without our calculator, so for instance, on number 1, What's our vertex? What's our h value? Remember, our h is our first, our k is our second. Zoom in there. So Jaden, gents, what's our h value?
H is the 2.
2. Yeah. Okay. Jake, what's our k value? -4. Good. So Toki, what's this tell us right here?
Vertexes.
Yeah, it tells us where the vertex is. Right. You go to -4. So the vertex is the bottom point. Okay, and this, all of them today that we're dealing with are going to open up. So all I'm going to do is just sketch in a line. Now, the only points that are really, now that's a bad arrow, but the only points that are really accurate are the vertex here. That's it. That's all I'm worried about for this sheet. Okay. Later on our assignment today, we'll worry about the other points. Okay. All right. Out your calculator, please.
Okay, Bobby. If you fail,
all right.
you fail your country.
So,
Yeah, you
this is what I got.
So you got to draw it on your
Correct. I mean,
If you got it wrong, you fail.
I know.
Dude, I don't even have a pencil.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I can't
Toki,
scroll
use your
it
pencil.
plus 1.
Fail all the white people in the world.
And ruler.
You get Parker. You mess up, you fail all the white people in the
Share
world.
your work with the people that are drawing them up there.
There's a ruler.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna be yellow.
If you fail, that's spoil your country.
I don't want
was
to.
invaded China. It's like everything.
I
in the
don't
United
want
States
to.
is-
I don't want to.
Well, yeah, of course.
See what I did to myself. You see what I did to myself.
You cut yourself.
You're black and yellow.
I'll just grab it.
Let's see if you can do it with this. Hey, put your face down just like that. Just lay your head down like that.
More than that.
No, just lay your head down in execution position right here.
Come on now, please. Please, please. You know what they call me? You know what they call me in the streets? They call me Big Daddy. They call me in the streets.
No, it doesn't.
All right, well done.
Depends.
Okay. While we're waiting on number 6, there is 1 through 5. Compare your work to theirs. I haven't checked them yet, but I will as we're going here. We get number 6. Okay, so those 5 are correct right now. Okay, we fixed the negative on the number 2. It's in the right spot. Okay. Well, it was correct. Like the graph was correct. We had forgot the negative sign. It was. I did look right. It still looks right, man. Do I talk like that?
I actually am quite amazed by it. You haven't asked for
That's
your
what you get for
eraser.
leaving to finish your test.
You haven't asked for your eraser as yet.
That's why it's smeared when it didn't.
I don't have it. It's right there. Oh, actually, this is mine. Yours is down there.
Where else see it?
It's somewhere over there, unless if somebody picked it up.
All right. Hey, number 6 correct as well.
No, it's for.
Oh, there it is. Right there.
Any questions?
Other side of the bag.
Okay, think we got it? So the problem on this, we know where the vertex is. What was the thing we didn't know? Like I'm walking around, I'm looking at, say, like number 6. This one looks like it's been on a diet. Okay. This one looks like it's had a nice holiday. Okay. What do we do? What is not accurate on these possibly? Yeah. Good. The width of the V. All right, and that's really what A does. When we talk about A tomorrow, A controls the width. It determines if it's narrow or if it's wide. Now here we're just worried about vertex. On the worksheet I'm about to give you, you're going to actually graph exact points. You're going to come up with a table. Okay, we're going to graph it, and then we're going to summarize H and K. Tomorrow we'll talk about the A term. Okay. Everyone tell your neighbor what domain and range is while I'm passing these out. All right. Well, we'll come back to that question about domain and range here in a minute, but I want to get you guys started on your assignment, so I need your attention up here. Graph each of the following absolute value functions on the same graph, so that means you're putting them all right down here on this grid. Okay? Give the domain and range for each function, and then when you turn it over, you got a couple more you're going to graph on this grid. You're going to give the domain and range. You're going to summarize down here where there's a lot of lines. Don't get freaked out about the lines. You're just summarizing the what type of shift are you going to have here? Dude, tell your neighbor, H or K? Yeah, no, they don't know.
Well, K.
Hey, how many say H?
Because,
How many say K? Good. Remember your standard form, right? Y equals, what goes first? A times the absolute value of
X
minus H
plus K.
plus K. Tell your neighbor how you know this is a K shift.
Because it's, you know, on the outside of the absolute value and it's on behind on the opposite side of the A.
Okay, Parker, how do you know? Okay, numbers outside the absolute value. Cole, you agree with that? Cole was doing a little blah, 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 and he looked like the dude off of Christmas Vacation. Okay? All right. Yeah, Griswold. No, but his father-in-law that was doing his blah, blah, blah thing when they were doing the drum roll. You have to watch the movie. Okay? So, if we're doing this, tell your neighbor what the vertex is. That's the first thing to identify. How many want... Okay, real quick. How many want homework tonight? Okay, then we got to pick up the pace. What's the vertex? No, tell your neighbor. Should be a quick one here. Okay, vertex. Jaden. 0, 0. Vertex is 0, 0. So I'm going to go down here where it says 0, 0, 0. I'm going to put a big V right there. That tells me the vertex. That means on this graph I am plotting 0, 0 down here on the grid. Hi. Can we have about 2 minutes? Yeah. Okay, and then from there, we got 0, 0. From there, our vertex, we know this graph is opening upward and it's a V shape, but we don't know the width of it. Now, I'm going to give you a little hint for tomorrow. If your A term, if the thing outside here is a 1, and we know it's a 1 because there's nothing out, we don't see a number. So anytime we don't see something, it's a, Jaden? Stay with me. Okay, it's a 1. Okay, everyone show me 1 with your finger. Hey guys, seriously, that's a 1. That means my slope is a 1. That means from this point, I'm rising 1 and running 1. I'm rising 1 and running 1. Okay, now I was watching a few of you. I was more at this table. I'd just seen a few of you guys had actually put points like this. And I don't know if you're looking at your table on your calculator or if you just knew that, but the slope of this is 1. And negative 1. It's a 1 going in or a negative 1 going in and a 1 coming out. Okay? Now I knew these points just because I know I'm going up 1 and over 1. That makes it easy to graph it. Okay? Now I prefer you use a ruler. I just don't have one handy right here. You guys will be able to grab one though. Okay? What goes right here? What's the coordinates for 1? So Toki, if I go to 1 on the x-axis, what am I at on the y-axis?
1.
1, 1. JC, if I go to 2 on the x-axis, where am I at on the y-axis? Yeah, I'm at 2. Okay? And negative 1 I'm at? 1. Negative 2 I'm at?
2.
I'm at positive 2, right? Negative 2, positive 2. Otherwise, I'd be down here. Okay? Any questions how we got that? Last thing is domain and range. I heard a bunch of you with the right answer. What does domain mean? Yeah, it's our x. What does range mean? That's our y. So this is x is, and this is y is. when I say domain, notice this graph goes on forever. Okay? It starts over here at negative infinity, right? It goes on forever. It never stops moving on x. So x is all real numbers. That's how we write that. All real numbers means every number that we know. All real numbers. Okay, those are supposed to be brackets there. What is y? Does it exist for all y's? So like, does our graph exist down here? Where does our graph start existing on the y-axis?
0.
At 0. So y is at 0. Is it going up or down the y-axis? Up. So y is greater than, could it be equal to 0? Do we have a point at 0? Yeah. Y is greater than or equal to 0. Okay. That is our range. All right. Very good. So this is your assignment. Okay, you guys can work on it together. Make sure you're asking for help if you need it, please.